Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we are reviewing the new self-titled debut album from Red Hearse. Red Hearse, you're probably thinking, who's that? Who is that? Well, I'll tell you who Red Hearse is. It is Jack Antonoff, Sounwave, and Sam Do. I can't believe I almost forgot the third guy. This is a collaboration project in a way. The biggest name there, I would say, is Jack Antonoff. He's of the Bleachers fame. He was one of the members of that pop group Fun from earlier in the decade. He also has a lot of songwriting and production credits. He has worked with artists like Lorde and St. Vincent. He's also working with Taylor Swift and Lana Del Rey for their upcoming albums. You know, Jack Antonoff, he's just an underrated guy. He goes under the radar. A lot of people just kind of take him for granted. He writes a lot of pop hits that you might not even know were written by him. And just like Jack Antonoff, we have a couple other artists on here that are lesser known. I honestly came into this review not knowing who either Sounwave or Sam Do are. But what has Sounwave done? Well, he helped conceive To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn. Pretty good albums, I would say, by Kendrick Lamar. Pretty solid rap albums in the entire decade. And Sam Do shouldn't be forgotten on this project either. He is an R&B artist. He has written songs for Zayn and Pink. So yeah, in a way, it makes sense that they are going by Red Hearse because, if you don't know that name, you're most likely not going to know the artists that are typically forgotten when it comes to pop music. Without further ado, let's jump into the track list on this Red Hearse debut album. And there's a song on here called Violence. It has some muffled and processed vocals. At points, it feels like we're listening to Prince with like these high level falsettos with like this bass heavy modern pop blend of an instrumental. Yeah, with this song Violence, I wouldn't say it's the catchiest hook on the project, but that's relatively speaking because we have three really good pop songwriters on this record. Regardless, it's still an interesting entry into this weird space of pop music because it kind of throws in trap. Onto the title track, this is a song that we get to know the artists a bit more and what they're kind of bringing to the table, what they're offering. As we know, Jack Antonoff is a bit more of an alternative rock artist. The other two artists offer a bit more of R&B and hip hop, so it's like this coming together of those sounds. It really, the title track is what is best going to describe the band's music here. We have a bit more of an experimental edge to it. We have some oscillating sub bass and just random clangs and clatters going on with the song, but it's one of the stickiest choruses on the project for sure. You Make It Easy is another one of my favorites on here. It has some hot and humid sultry production on here. Not my favorite in terms of the mixing, just because the instrumental feels a little drowned out, but it is a very catchy song. Honey is where we start to get into a bit of the weird influences on this album, and they're all over the place. I already mentioned Prince earlier on, but I'm going to bring up the Beach Boys now. And yeah, while I'm bringing up the Beach Boys, you're probably like, I don't hear the Beach Boys, but we see it with the song structure and the vocal style. Definitely not in the way that Alien processed like instruments. Those don't really fit into any one genre or musical style. But yeah, I just want to bring up the many different influences on this album because I feel like that's a strength to this. It's very diverse in where these musical ideas are coming from. Moving on from there, I want to highlight one more song. It is easily my favorite on this project. It's called Everybody Wants You. And this one has this chilling and ambient atmosphere with the keyboards. It's very minimal, which contrasts the previous track, and it's just this R&B thrill to sit through. Amazing. Really just does leave me speechless in a way. It's one of the best songs I've heard this year. So where does that leave me with the album as a whole? I think it's a good album. I think it's pretty good. Like, this is a good pop album. Again, I don't know if I can call it pop. I don't want to like just label it as pop because there's a lot more going on. The negatives, just to get them out of the way here, I want to say that this album kind of suffers from the plain lyrics. There's a lot about love and it's pretty surface level, and a lot of the things that are said on here have been heard a million times, so there's nothing really thought-provoking, nothing too deep with the lyrics, which is kind of an upsetting point to make. And that leads into my other point about this album just being a little repetitive. There are some songs that get long in the tooth, just a tad. And the only other negative I can see with this album, it's not really bothering me as much. It might bother someone else a bit more. I catch on to it with a couple songs, but it's the low-end production. And not in the way that it's low quality, it's more just the bass-heavy end of things, you know? For one person, the dreary synthesizers might really drive them insane, but it's what can feed into the strengths for this album as well, because it's pretty different than what a lot of mainstream music is offering over the past year. This album is really hard to pin down with its sound and tone. I'd say that it's mostly R&B inspired, and it's really varied with its influences. That's why I was trying to bring that up earlier in the video. I usually criticize an album for being influenced by another artist too much, where you kind of wear the influence on the sleeve. I don't mean to do that always, because without influences, artists aren't inspired, but when you pull on many influences from like a wide-ranging, diverse selection of people like Prince, the Beach Boys, and even have like a past collaborator like Kendrick Lamar, you're going to have some really interesting results with the final product. And this is an interesting final product. We have two phenomenal songs on here, one that might be a running for my favorite song of the year. That would be Everybody Wants You, and Red Hearse as the title track is pretty great too. And there's even two other tracks I haven't even mentioned in this review, Born to Bleed and Blessin' Me. They're both captivating and a great way to round out this short yet concise album. So those are my thoughts on the new Red Hearse album. I'm feeling a 7 out of 10 on this one. Sound off down below in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking of it. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new in town. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a rockin' day.